The heart wants what it wants. Usually a line reserved for love songs or soap operas, it refers more to the figurative heart. But what the literal heart wants is nutrients and exercise, but we're going to focus on the former today. The heart is the captain of the circulatory system, pumping blood, delivering everything the body needs to operate, and ridding of everything the body has no use for. It works 86,400 seconds a day, 365 days a year. That is to say, it is working constantly. And while the heart is the ever-loyal caretaker of everything else, it needs to be provided for too. If anything, its health and function should be the priority above all else, so it felt like the natural next choice to go over. But let me know which organ or bodily system you'd like to see me cover next. As for today, we're going to go through 5 of the most important nutrients and components for the health and function of the heart and the circulatory system as a whole, as well as some foods that are reliable ways to get them. And at the end, I'll briefly rattle off how pretty much everything has to be in order for the heart to work at its best, even if certain nutrients may not seem as directly or apparently involved. So now presenting the ingredients for a healthy heart. Number 1. Potassium. Many minerals are needed to keep the heart pumping, but I feel like potassium is the best lens to show exactly how. Being an electrolyte, it has a big impact on regulating your blood pressure and heartbeat. In order to understand how it benefits blood pressure, we should first refresh on what's known as the sodium-potassium pump. This is a special type of protein in the plasma membrane of your cells. It is constantly transporting sodium out of the cells and potassium into them. It does this to make sure there is a proper amount of fluid in and out of the cells. Water is drawn to sodium, so when there's too much sodium, the volume of fluid in your blood increases, putting more pressure on blood vessels. Potassium promotes the removal of excess sodium both from the cells themselves, but also from the body altogether, by encouraging the kidneys to flush out excess sodium via urination. This helps to relax the blood vessels, effectively lowering blood pressure. As for how potassium helps to regulate heart rates, the potassium that enters the heart cells through the pump is there for a specific purpose. During a heartbeat, it's actually calcium that flows into the cell to electrically trigger the heart to beat. Meanwhile, potassium flows out of the cells to maintain equilibrium, since calcium and potassium are both positive ions. Without enough potassium, electrical signals can be disrupted, resulting in an irregular heartbeat. So blood is not pumped effectively, thus it can't deliver what it needs to the rest of the body. Low potassium levels, hypokalemia, can lead to an increased risk of pretty much any heart condition you can think of, including heart disease, stroke, and cardiac arrest. And it's believed that the majority of people don't get enough potassium, so I would recommend picking a few foods that you know have it and including them on a regular basis. Some reliable ones include nuts like pistachios, almonds, and cashews, seeds like pumpkin and flax, avocado, spinach, potato, and of course banana. As for animal foods, the best sources come from the sea, including salmon, tuna, sardines, and shellfish. And while land meats may contain some, it is noticeably less. Number 2. Monounsaturated fat. There are several different types of fatty acids found in food, all with various effects on heart health. And while there's been debate on just how bad the bad ones are, there's 2 types that everyone collectively agrees are good for the heart. I'll address the other one later, but the first is monounsaturated fat. Its main benefit is how it helps with cholesterol. Now let's establish up front what cholesterol is. It is simply a type of lipid that is essential for the creation of cells, certain hormones, and vitamin D. The thing is, in most cases, your liver already produces all the cholesterol your body needs, so any you get from your diet is largely unnecessary. Cholesterol is carried to and from your liver and the rest of your body in specialized proteins in your blood. Low and high density lipoproteins, or LDL and HDL for short. These are what people are actually referring to when they say bad cholesterol and good cholesterol. The reason why LDL is perceived as the bad one is that too much of it compared to HDL can result in cholesterol buildup in your arteries known as plaque and a condition called atherosclerosis. This restricts blood flow and forces the heart to work harder, potentially increasing the risk of a blood clot, heart disease, or stroke. And I know I took the long way around, but monounsaturated fat helps this by increasing the number of LDL receptors on liver cells, which bind to and remove LDL particles from the blood. In the the average diet, replacing excess saturated fat and omega-6 polyunsaturated fat with monounsaturated fat can dramatically lower LDL cholesterol, improving upon the health and efficacy of the heart. Though admittedly, much of this has to do with the fact that most people don't get enough monounsaturated fat in the first place. So where do you find it? Well, some of the best sources are olives, avocado, nuts like macadamia, hazelnut, and pecan, and of course all of their oils. And for animal foods, your most reliable bet is fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, though eggs and most meats contain a fair bit too. Number 3. Soluble fiber. Called such because unlike insoluble fiber, it dissolves in water, forming a gel-like substance in your small intestine. This gel binds to cholesterol and bile acids, preventing them from being absorbed, so they're excreted instead. Thus, it helps to prevent a high LDL concentration and the risk of plaque in your arteries. Soluble fiber helps in a few other ways too. The gel also causes a slowdown of digestion, so glucose is absorbed slower and more gradually, preventing sharper blood sugar spikes. As I'm sure you're already aware, those spikes, when chronic, can damage blood vessels, reducing their functionality by stiffening them, impeding on blood flow, and raising the risk of heart complications. Soluble fiber also acts as a prebiotic, feeding beneficial intestinal bacteria, which in return provide short-chain fatty acids, which are shown to improve insulin sensitivity and blood flow. And lastly, soluble fiber helps to promote feelings of satiety, preventing overeating, which can discourage excessive weight gain. As we know, being overweight means that your heart has to work harder. Now, any plant food that has fiber will have soluble fiber in varying amounts, but some of the richer sources include grains like oats, barley, and amaranth, several fruits, notably berries, leafy green vegetables, and many root vegetables. Number 4. Folate. One of the many B vitamins, this one being vitamin B9. While the B vitamin complex is most known for their roles in metabolism and bodily development, a few of them play a more direct role in heart health. But to understand why, we first need to understand a little something called homocysteine. It's an amino acid, but not one of the 20 that our bodies use. It's considered a non-protein amino acid formed as a byproduct of the metabolism of the essential amino acid methionine. Homocysteine itself is not beneficial. In fact, it can actually directly damage blood vessels via inflammation, calcification, atherosclerosis, and an increased risk of a blood clot. The body can rid of homocysteine through two processes called methylation and transsulfuration. With these, homocysteine is converted back into methionine or into cysteine respectively. The thing is, they need to be in the presence of a few nutrients. Vitamin B12 is a cofactor for methylation, while vitamin B6 is a cofactor for transsulfuration, and folate is needed to kick off both. Folate in its active form, methylfolate, donates its methyl group to homocysteine, and with the assistance of vitamin B12, it is converted back into methionine. The methionine made via this process is then used to create adenosylmethionine, or SAM for short. High levels of SAM initiate transsulfuration, which with the help of vitamin B6 is converted into cysteine, one of the 11 non-essential amino acids still used to make all the proteins in the body. It should be mentioned that this is also the body's primary way of getting cysteine. So to bring all this back to our topic nutrient, without adequate amounts of folate, none of this happens, and homocysteine is free to destroy the cardiovascular system as much as it pleases. Now, while most B vitamins can be found in obvious places like meats, folate is a bit more elusive. Its best sources include liver, beans, lentils, peanuts, seaweed, and leafy green vegetables. I would also like to mention that folate helps with the production of nitric oxide. Speaking of which, number 5, nitric oxide. It's not a nutrient, instead it is a gas compound that acts as a chemical messenger in the body. Nitric oxide improves heart health through something called vasodilation, the relaxing and widening of blood vessels, specifically the smooth muscles of their walls. It does so in a familiar manner by reducing the calcium concentration. This increases blood flow and their capacity to deliver nutrients, making it so the heart doesn't have to work as hard. This is why sufficient nitric oxide is shown to consistently improve athletic performance. But if nitric oxide is not a nutrient we can directly consume like the others, how does the body get it? Well, through two ways. The first is dietary nitrates, which some foods are rich in. The nitrates are converted to nitrites by oral bacteria. Then the nitrites are reduced to nitric oxide by enzymes in the acidity of your stomach, notably with the help of vitamin C. The other pathway is through the conversion of the amino acid arginine. It's technically a non-essential amino acid as the body can produce it on its own, but it can be obtained through diet as well cell with relative ease. Arginine is taken into cells and is oxidized by special enzymes until you're left with nitric oxide. Dietary citrulline, another amino acid, can be converted into arginine as well. For a lot of people, nitric oxide isn't much of a concern, but its deficiency becomes much more common as you age, so it doesn't hurt to include some foods that are rich in its ingredients. Dietary nitrates are found most in beetroot and leafy green vegetables like kale, spinach, lettuce, and chard, while arginine is abundant in most animal foods, meat, poultry, fish, dairy, and eggs. And it can be found plant-based in soy, nuts, seeds, beans, and lentils, basically all the places you would expect protein. And notably, watermelon is very citrulline rich, which as I mentioned earlier can be turned into arginine. So those are what I would consider the 5 components most emblematic of heart health. But as I'm sure you can imagine, there's many more that contribute to keeping your heart pumping, some of which I've already mentioned. Calcium acts as the heartbeat initiator, being the electrical trigger for heart muscle contraction. Its presence is as necessary for the heart to pump as its removal is necessary for the heart to relax. Magnesium is the keeper of the heart's rhythm. It regulates electrical signals and contractions by inhibiting the flow of ions in and out of the heart cells. Basically, it prevents too much calcium from moving in and too much potassium from moving out. Zinc regulates the release of calcium into the heart cells in the first place. It also acts as a heart protector and a blood vessel relaxer. Sodium, of course, is potassium's eternal partner, fulfilling the antagonist roles in blood pressure and the heartbeat. Vitamin B12 and vitamin B6, as I mentioned earlier, are necessary for the conversion process of homocysteine. Omega-3 fatty acids are the other type of fat that are unquestionably beneficial for heart health. Honestly, they're just great for everything, and I gave the spotlight to monounsaturated fat mainly just because you need it in a higher quantity. Insoluble fiber is not as direct as soluble for heart health, but it does still help manage weight and blood sugar. Protein is the building blocks of the heart's tissue. It is a muscle after all. It's also what the body uses to form all the hormones and enzymes necessary for all the actions we discussed to take place. Iron is part of myoglobin, which manages oxygen in muscle cells, including those in the heart, and hemoglobin, which carries oxygen in red blood cells to other cells in the body, one of the main reasons for the heart to pump blood in the first place. Vitamin K and phosphorus help prevent calcium buildup in blood vessels. Vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, copper, manganese, and selenium are all antioxidants protecting the heart from harm, and the rest of the B vitamins are needed for producing the energy that the heart needs to pump. Clearly, it's a collaborative effort. Since the heart has an impact on everything else, it makes sense that everything would contribute to the heart's function in return. For a lot of people, heart health is the best representation of overall health. I urge you to make an effort to give it what it needs so it can remain ever constant. I also urge you to get out and get that heart rate elevated on a regular basis. You'll thank yourself for it later. Now, if you enjoyed this video, or at the very least learned a little something, I encourage you to subscribe as I may end up making more of them. I also encourage you to share it with someone who you think might find it useful or interesting. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments what other organs or bodily systems you think I should cover, and remember that all I ask is that you do your own research and advocate for your body. You only get the one.